Hi Internet, how you doing? So I've had a few questions on the YouTube channel. You know, how do you put together a backpacking meal? How do I pack my brain? It's interesting. And I'll be honest with you, what I do, I think is pretty low tech. It's pretty easy, but hey, you know, I could be delusional. I'm probably delusional. And I could be right on track. The point is everybody's gonna do something different. So what I do is going to be different than what you do, than what, say, you know, a famous person like Shug would do, or maybe Frankie, or Syntax, or, you know, pick anybody. There's a ton of them out there on YouTube. There's lots of different ways to go. You can go Mountain House, which you can find at Walmart, or Wally World, or Target, or Chez Target, or one of those other places. I can't even lie. For the most part, they taste good. You know, when you're out and you're hungry and you got a backpack, you know, a little Mountain House meal, hey, it's money. It's better than chewing on shoe leather. It's better than eating the dog. I like what I do in my throat. So Mountain House is always an option. I find too that they're a little bit expensive, at least for me. Hey, I'm broke. I'm on a budget, okay? So, you know, I have to work in my backpacking and my hiking and my camping and all that other kind of stuff in with the rest of my life, which is a wife and 2 kids and 2 Labrador retrievers and a job and a mortgage and a car payment. And, you know, I'm getting really depressed. So that's why I go hiking, is because I'm depressed. I have to do things kind of on a budget. So using the Mountain House meals and that type of thing, not so much for me. Now, there are other brands. There's Packet Gourmet. There's all kinds of other cottage vendors out there that do bag meals that you can put together and put them on. And there's tons of videos about those. And those things look really, really great. And I hear they taste really, really good. Here again, not for me. I've got certain dietary issues that I have to be aware of, careful of, and that kind of thing. So I got to be kind of particular. And I'm a little picky on some of the things that I eat. So there you go. So things like Packet Gourmet and that kind of stuff, those are all really, really good. You can use those. I encourage you to use those. You don't have to do it this way. If you don't do that, well, then there's MREs, meals ready to eat. Yeah, not so much. I've not been in the military. I'm sure those MREs, some of them, one of them, they're going to be good. And again, when you're out and hiking and backpacking and you're hungry, it's better than chewing on shoe leather, man. So, hey, get that. Use that if that works for you. I don't like those because they're heavy. I'm old. I'm trying to keep the pack weight down. You know, here at Pepperidge Farms, you got to be careful what you carry. Your life's not a cherry pie. Basically, I do is I go low tech, real simple. I started thinking about, okay, what are the things that I like to eat? What are the things that I eat day in and day out? Can I eat those things on the trail? Well, yeah, you can. Just got to be a little creative sometimes. So what I do is I dehydrate my own meals and I go real low tech, real simple. Yeah, Hamburger Helper. Hamburger Helper. It's the help for hamburger. You gotta love it. Whoops, did it wrong. Gotta love it. That sucker's only got 4 fingers. So I take a Hamburger Helper meal of my choice. Today is going to be Salisbury, but I'm going to cook this up and we're going to go through that process of me cooking up the Salisbury, and I'll show you not only just how I do it, but some of the things I tweak on it as I'm doing it, and then how I'm going to package that up. So I'm going to show you today how we put this together, or how I put this together, because nobody will help me. I'm all alone. So let's get started. So first thing you got to do is you need to get a nice hot pan. I tend to let mine heat up a little bit. Put the burner up on high and let it get good and hot, because when I add that meat, I want it to get going pretty quick. Now what I'm using is like an 80-20 ground chuck. You can buy leaner meat. You can use a leaner meat. Whatever you use is your choice. It doesn't have to be cheap. You can make it as fancy as you want to. You can do turkey. I have substituted ground turkey for ground beef many times and absolutely love it. As a matter of fact, the section hike that my son and I did, all the meals that we made there for that one were all ground turkey. There was no ground beef in any of that. And we did them all the same way we're doing this right here. Just took a hamburger helper meal or a box meal, if you want to call it that. Use that as our base tool to make the meal. We're going to get this ground beef going. You can use buffalo, you could use deer meat, aardvark, blessbok. Blessbok is really a blessing. Rabbit, depending on which neighborhood you're in, cats or dogs. I'm kidding about the cats and the dogs. I'm a dog lover. I love dogs. I have dogs. I like cats. Cats are great. They taste just like chicken. I just can't eat a whole one in one sitting anymore. Please send all your hate mail to Dutchware Gear. No. You'll notice when I'm cooking this that, I'm keeping this in fairly large chunks here. There's kind of a motive to my madness there. My experience has shown me that in my kitchen, maybe different in yours, a lot of the fat is going to render out of this when I'm cooking it. But if I chop it up, it will sometimes reabsorb into whatever meat I've got there and that kind of thing. Now, when you're doing a dehydrated meal, one of the things you want to be aware of and careful of is the ingredients that you're using, and you want to make sure that you get as much of the fat out of this stuff as you possibly can. Well, why would you use 80-20? Why not a leaner meat? Wouldn't it be easier to have less fat? Well, yes, it would, but fat is flavor, and I want flavor. So it's a trade-off. You got a balancing act in there, so you got to do that. Now, I'm cooking this kind of hot and fast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in a few moments, I'm going to pour off that grease. No, I'm not going to pour it down my sink. Maybe you like paying those expensive plumber bills and looking at butt crack. I don't. All right, now you can see, you still see some pink in there, okay? Don't freak out on me, okay? It's all right. I'm going to cut that down to low, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to pour off all this grease. Something that I do that's a little different, okay? You ever seen one of these? These are great. I think this is used for like chopping up eggs or something. I don't know, man. This thing, it's been around our kitchen for a long time. It has been used and abused. It is tore up from the floor up. But it does great for this. I use it to grind up the beef. Yeah, that's hot. Yeah. I do this with every box meal that I put together, simply because, again, in my kitchen, what I found to be true is that, you'll get these big chunks of stuff, and if you got a whole pan of that, what you wind up with is you'll get a bite of something and there's no meat. And I don't like that. I want meat in everything that I got. Now, I'm going to further process this when the time comes, when I start packaging or getting ready to dehydrate this meal, I should say. Where it's chopped up now, it's going to get chopped up even more. So you'll see that. Don't worry. Okay, so now all we're doing is just following the instructions on our box meal. We have browned the beef in a 10-inch skillet, and we have drained. Now we're going to get to stirring the hot water. You put in the sauce, the water, the milk, the mix, blah, 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 the pasta. What I tend to do is go ahead and put the whatever powder of a sauce mix or anything like that they've got. I'm going to get that in there first, because I want that on the meat. Save the little package, use it for a spoon rest. It's great. Alright, so now we got to 2 3/4 cups of water and a half a cup of milk. Now I'm going to stir all that up and get that going. I want that mixed in there. Yeah, get that off the sides, man. Dude, you missed a spot. Got it. Yeah, don't slosh that around, dude. You got to clean the kitchen. Alright, once I get that in there, and then comes the noodles. You want to make sure when you get that done, you get that down in there, and I want to get that heat back up because I want to get that back up to a boil. I want to make sure that I got all those noodles down in the water or in the liquid. Let's say the liquid, because it's not just water. There's milk, and there's powder, and there's spices, and there's herbs. Yes, I clean the kitchen as I go. I can cook a meal, and it looks like, nobody ever cooked a meal in there. My wife can cook a meal, and it looks like Hiroshima. And you put that down on low, cover, and let cook for 10 minutes. Stirring occasionally. Nah. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. Noodles are cooked. Everything looks good. Yeah, that's a lot of juice. So what I tend to do is I'll let that kind of go for a little bit longer without the lid on it, because I want that to reduce down just a little bit more. before I put it through the processor. Okay, now that is reduced down to about where I like it. Now comes the next step. This will probably kind of confuse you a little bit, but I'll explain why. So at this point, I've transferred everything into my food processor. So you're thinking, why are you going to chop that up? Well, look at those big old noodles in there. When you rehydrate this stuff, the noodles won't rehydrate very well if you leave them big like that. The other thing too is I've got to separate this. I got to dehydrate it. So the smaller the pieces, the better it dehydrates. The quicker it dehydrates, the better the meal. Yada, 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 yada. Looks good though, doesn't it? Hey, it's going to look even better in a little bit. So hang in there. So tap on the food processor and I'm just going to pulse this. All right, that's about the consistency that I want. I know it kind of looks like soup, but trust me, it'll be good. It'll be great. It'll rehydrate. I don't know why I keep saying Okay, so this is my dehydrator tray, and then obviously this is my Salisbury. It's pretty thick, so I'm just going to kind of spread that out nice and gentle. Try not to hit the counter. And I want it nice and even and fairly thin. I am not pressing very hard when I put that in there because I don't want it to go all the way through those little grates. You're probably thinking, well, why don't you do that on one of those fruit roll-up trays? Well, you know, I could, but I don't think it'll dehydrate the way I want it to. And I've done it like this before, and so there I are. And we'll get the second tray. Make sure we get all of that out of there. All right, so that's about a tray and a half. Now what that basically amounts to, that is one box meal that had about 1.25 pounds, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but about 1.25 pounds of beef in it. And I'm now going to set that up. Now, yeah, it's only 2 trays. So yes, you can run your dehydrator with 1 tray or 2 trays or 5 trays or however many trays you want to run it with that it'll work with. You can do what you want to do. I've got this set up on the highest setting, which is 160, and we're just going to let this run. It'll probably go, I usually let it run either all night or all day, depending on the case is. In this case, it's going to be all day, and then I'll come back later today, make sure everything's good, and then we'll go through the packaging process. Okay, well now it's been about 12 hours or so. Actually hadn't been quite that long. Started this probably around 8:30 in the morning. I've taken it off probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock this night. And everything looks good. So we will unplug this. So it is off, and there you go. There's that first tray, and there's that second tray, and it is crispy. Nice and done. So now we got to get it out of this or off of this and get them set up to package. Okay, well you'll notice I've got this nice big bowl already sitting on my scale. The main thing I want to try and figure out is exactly how much dehydrated meal I have. So I'm going to weigh it, and I'll use that to determine how much I package in each of the 2 packages that I'm going to set up. So I'm trying to get this over the top of the bowl and get it off without making too big a mess. Okay, all of that measured out to 12.45 ounces or 353 grams, 12.45. So basically what I'm going to try and do is put about 6.25 roughly ounces in each bag container. Obviously I want to kind of take this and kind of break it up a little bit with my hands because obviously the smaller this is, the better it's going to rehydrate. Before I actually package this, I want to show you something else that we're going to do to the dehydrated meal before I guess as I package it. Yeah, as I package it. Last year, when my son and I did our section hike on the AT, I was looking for some stuff to add to the meals that, well, things that my son may not like, but that I liked. And I came upon, that was about the same time as Dutch came out with his Make Your Own Gear website. It was just getting kind of off the ground, and he was just adding the food components that he has on his Make Your Own Gear websites, and came upon these lovely beauties. Basically what I did is I took whatever meal I had in that evening, and I would either add dehydrated mushrooms or spinach or carrots to it, or all of it. You know, I kind of doctored it up while we were there on the trail, and it worked great. I recommend the site to you simply because you can go out there and you can get all the individual components to build a meal. Do a little bit, do a lot, do what you want. You can mix it together while you're there on the trail, in the campsite, or wherever. Or you can do it like I'm doing now, which is I've taken my meal and I've dehydrated it. And so when I package it, I'm going to just take and I'm going to add some spinach to each, carrots in it, and I'm going to add some mushrooms. The Salisbury meal that I've put together is fantastic. But when I get to add the spinach and the carrots and the mushrooms, it's over the top. It's a whole nother level. It's gourmet now. With that in mind, how do I actually package my meal? Well, I use I use two components really. And these are, one of these is probably going to seem a little strange. One of them is quite common. The first is I vacuum seal my meal. I had done several meals and noticed after a very short time they were kind of losing their seal. And so what I did then was I added an envelope component. The beauty of it is I'm taking just a little bit off the top, and the meal goes inside the envelope, and the envelope goes inside the vacuum bag. All of it gets vacuum sealed. It still vacuum seals perfectly, but the envelope keeps the food that's in there from poking through the plastic bag and causing my seal to fail. The Food Saver bag, when I start to rehydrate it, goes inside of a cozy that I've built that is the perfect size for it to sit in, and it has a little square base so that it will stand up as well. Close it up, go on my merry way, and do some other stuff while it's doing that. Let's go about the process of actually sealing up these items. So first things first, we're gonna build a bag, and I kind of make them a little long at first, simply because I gotta keep them. I got to make sure I got room to spare. And one of the things that I'll do is you can see I will put a double seal on the bottom of that. I am going to be rehydrating a meal in this, so I want to make sure that that's safe. Okay, and I've got a backup in case that first seal fails or something. And remember, I told you guys I wanted to set this up so that I had about 6 1/4 ounces. 6 ounces on the noggin. $6.25 exactly. So where that puts where I'm going to cut off is just underneath that little clasp right there. So that works out perfect. Put that down. Now we're going to seal it. Boom. And I'm going to go ahead and get that secondary seal while I got a moment. Now, isn't that great? You see I got a double seal there. That food is not poking through the envelope. So my seal's going to stay intact. All that is vacuum fresh. And I can take that, I can put that in the freezer, and that baby will be good for months, many, many months. I can leave it just on the shelf like this. I'd say probably for at least a couple of months. There you go. Meal served, set, and saved, ready for the trail. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope it's been beneficial to you. And if it has, great. I hope it enhances your hiking and camping experience. With that said, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the trail.